And this rant is going to be called Solving the World's Issues One Lap at a Time. And I am your host for this grand adventure, Derek Nelson. So buckle up. We're going to go for a ride because I want to tell y'all about how NASCAR got started. I'm sure y'all know moonshine and illegal this and illegal that. And this is true. There's a bunch of good old boys, rednecks, racing in farms where people grew corn crops. And then when they weren't growing corn crops, they were making moonshine. Then prohibition came along and people needed the moonshine because they weren't able to get the legal stuff. So these guys got their cars and they started delivering moonshine. And then the police showed up, the revenuers, and they're like, you can't be doing that. Bad guys, we're going to come after you. They're like, you got to catch us first. So that's where it starts, with a bunch of good old boy rednecks. A bunch of Richard Childress type individuals with good old country boy instincts. And after a few years of this, Bill France comes along and he sees it and he likes it and he wants to be part of it. And he sees many opportunities to partake in it, racing, running some of the events, gathering the purse together for the drivers and whatnot. So back then you had these guys, these rednecks that were heavily involved in the sport. And some of them raced until they couldn't race anymore because they would have bad crashes and they would become handicapped. And so they had to step away from the race car. Well, at least back then, NASCAR would do something. Bill France would take these guys, like Tim Flock, for example, and he would put him in charge of some aspect of the sport. Tim Flock was integral in getting a racetrack in Talladega. Other names you may be familiar with, if you've ever seen Cannonball Run or at least familiar with the Cannonball race, there was a real gentleman that did cross-country dashes. We'll call it that, for lack of a better term. Cannonball Baker. He was integral behind the scenes of NASCAR back in the days. And then NASCAR started to do something weird where a lot of these corporations these days have done it. They stepped away from hiring people that knew something about something within the sport, hiring people that knew what the sport needed, knew what the fans wanted, and would give it to them. And you fast forward a few years, and then next thing you know, you've got this whole fiasco in court where NASCAR is being sued because they're running a monopoly. And the most mind-boggling thing to come out of it was the emails against Richard Childress, who, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was team owner for some driver in the 80s and 90s, might have won a championship or two or seven. The team owner for Dale Earnhardt. The Lord only knows how much money NASCAR made from Dale Earnhardt and what he did for the sport. And for NASCAR to be so out of touch. I didn't point it out earlier in the show. I had my Richard Childress hat on. I've been wearing that hat all off season long. Got a little redneck pin in it. I've been calling it my protest hat. My wife hates it because it's a dad hat, but in my own little way, that's my way of protesting the sanctioning body, not the sport. I love the sport. We love the sport. If you're watching this, you love the sport. But something's got to be done to make it to where it's not about the money. Obviously, you need money to run the sport, but something needs to be done to where the average fan doesn't have to be subscribed to 30 different things in order to catch practice or qualify or a race. Something needs to be done to get to racetracks where you're not going to have casual fans for a handful of years that dictate the growth of the sport. Fontana. Where did Fontana go? It ain't there no more, man. It ain't there no more for a reason. Look at now I take this one personally myself. The fiasco at the Coliseum. It was great the first year, but I take it personally because my wife went out of her way to get me tickets to my first Daytona Speed Weeks. And instead of speed weeks, I got a speed week, and I still had a wonderful time. It's a fantastic time. If you've never made it out to Daytona for speed week, I highly, highly recommend it. It is a must do at least once in your life type of thing to experience it. But NASCAR's got to pull their heads out of their derriere. And, a lot can happen by the time y'all see this. We are past the new year, getting ready to head into the 2026 season. So, everybody's going to be coming off of their New Year break and their Christmas break, and schedules are going to start getting made, and people are going to get real serious about what's going to happen in 2026. So hopefully, whatever happens, it benefits the fans. I haven't even talked about the playoff situation. We all saw that fiasco last year, but who knows? But that is my little rant. Um, Producer Joshua may have his hands full with the edit on that, but I felt like I had to get that out. I felt like y'all had to experience the inner workings of my mind